What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today we're talking about Carvana being in some major trouble, allegedly. So everything we're going to be talking about is pure speculation at this point. They are going through lawsuits and through court and everything else, so we have to say allegedly so to make sure we don't get our butt sued. But I'm going to be going over some of the lawsuits of what they have pending. Plus, I've also received some personal information from other people and other sources about what's going on with Carvana. Now, buckle up your seatbelt, it's gonna get ugly. This is insane. I didn't believe half the things that I was hearing, especially for a company this big with all the things they have to offer. But before we get into the video, if you can do me a huge favor and gently squeeze the like button for the YouTube algorithm, it helps me find more amazing people like yourselves that enjoy automotive content. Also, please consider subscribing. We do post 3 times a week, so make sure you click the notification bell so you're notified anytime we post. And once again, follow us on Instagram, automotive.life. Let's get into the video. Now, currently right now, it seems that there's over, I think, 15 states that Carvana has lawsuits in. So we're just gonna focus on a few of the major ones. One of the biggest ones are coming out of Florida. Now, I think Florida has the same rules as Nevada, which I'll kind of go into some of the things that it's mattering. But right now, Carvana faces 2 class action lawsuits for delay of registration. And they have one that's turning into a class action lawsuit. Now, as a dealer, it is by basically law that I have to give you your green slip or your registration within 30 days of purchasing. Now, sometimes, things happen, the title gets lost at the auction. Sometimes the financing changes, so you have to redo the contract and submit it out. So there are things that delay it. But usually within 30 days, you need to have everything wrapped up and fixed, so this way you can give the person their registration. Well, currently what's going on in Florida is there's multiple reports of not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4, but 6 months of not getting their actual plates. There's one here out of Tampa, Florida that says 8-month delay on their title, basically forced them to park the car and get a rental car and go to work. So these are some major allegations. As a dealer, like I said, you are forced by DMV law to make sure that you pay the registration, get the paperwork done, and send it in. Now, this is just one of the other ones. There's another one that says alleges that they're paying out different settlements and fines from a year ago from another similar court case where people in Florida did not receive their registration in a timely manner. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. Let's see, this one is, this one's a pretty good one. This one's out of California. Online vehicle seller Carvana to pay $850,000 to settle a suit over licensing dispute. So I guess what Carvana was doing was selling some cars without a dealer's license, allegedly. And so they were forced to pay $850,000 in fines and restitution and blah, blah, blah. And it goes on to say that this was one of the other ones that were just pending. Now we move on to the next one, which is same thing. Carvana hit with a class action lawsuit, class action lawsuit after months and months of delays of transferring vehicle title. This one is out of Pennsylvania. So this particular one claims that this gentleman purchased his car and 6 months has not received his registration for his vehicle. They've been allegedly falsely giving him temporary tags from Tennessee or Arizona, which if you're a dealer and you're watching this, if you're reprinting out temporary tags, especially from other states, that is a big no-no. I believe actually that's a felony. So if they're doing this, allegedly, then it's gonna be really bad for Carvana. I don't see how they're gonna win this one. Somebody's gonna get paid. That guy's gonna get his car for free, probably some money for suffering. And whatever state that he bought it in, I think it's out of Pennsylvania, they're gonna have to pay up handsomely because their fines and fees, it's got to be insane. So it says that Carvana is based out of Arizona. And I'm guessing they must have some sort of inside track with the Arizona DMV, because if they're in Nevada, they'd be done. They'd be taxing the hell out of them, going after them. But it blows my mind that You know, as me as a small independent dealer, if I don't give you your registration and you turn me into the DMV, like they'll find me, but they usually come and they start threatening you, and they always tell the customer to file a report and try to get their money back. Because after 30 days, if you can't provide a green slip or registration, technically you're supposed to either give the customer their money back, or you personally finance that car in your company's name, like a buy here, pay here. And it doesn't seem like Carvana is doing any of those things. Now, one of the funny ones that I wanted to tell you guys about, what is this one? I-Team uncovers a state action and federal lawsuit against Carvana. Oh, this is another one from Florida. Same thing, this one, instead of Tampa, it's Jacksonville, Florida. So there's so many multiple lawsuits, it just blows my mind. But the good one, the funny one I wanted to tell you guys about was this one. Concord man sues Carvana for allegedly running his credit months after the purchase. Now you have to look up this story. I don't even see how this is legal, but basically as a dealer, I'm allowed to run your credit as long as you write me a consent. And if I got to rerun it again or anything else, then I usually tell the customer and I give them a heads up, because we're doing it for financing purposes. Now this person, this gentleman, had his credit ran 5 times after he purchased the vehicle. So the first time was, let's see, he said the first time was about 3 months afterwards. He got it ran 3 more times, and then after 9 months, he had his credit ran twice more. Now here's the kicker. I'm going to put up a little caption right here. So what Carvana website states is, by clicking my financing terms, I give Carvana written consent to obtain now and periodically the consumer's credit report or reports from consumer agencies to show current and future credit products and services that I pre-qualify for financing with Carvana. I understand this, and I authorize Carvana to get multiple reports which may appear as an inquiry on my credit report, but it will not impact my credit score. I authorize this, or this authorization will expire when my current account terminates unless I revoke earlier by contacting Carvana at credit opt-out. That is absolutely hilarious. Just the fact that, what gives them the right to rerun someone's credit even after selling them the car, just to check credit worthiness on this? I swear to God, Carvana feels like it's the biggest, like, how do I say it, like data entry. Everyone's trying to go tech. I'm going to go into why dealerships and tech don't really mix, but I'm going to save that argument for a minute. But this is what they're doing, is they're gathering data. They're trying to get as much information as possible, so this way they can basically, you know, get more and more information from you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the other things that were sent to me via email, via text, via Facebook, via Instagram, and some of these things are pretty crazy. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and pull them up on the screen and I'll show you. Now what I'm going to talk about right now is something that was sent to me from one of my viewers, and it was basically about Carvana. So allegedly Carvana is having some issues with, I guess, funding or checks or something like that. So this person, Aaron Fleming, at Carvana, I've been on hold for 40 minutes. My bank is the same bank as yours, and they say the check you gave me is no good. WTH. Now, there was other ones that I saw last night that were online, and when I went to go look at them this morning to do this video, they were gone. So if you do the @Carvana at Twitter, you will see a lot of these people complaining and asking questions. Now, allegedly, like I said, I have no idea. You can go on Twitter and do the research yourself, but that is huge. When I hear something like that, like people not being able to cash checks, you know, it's a little bit scary. And this is going to kind of play into what I'm going to be talking about when it comes to like the market. We just did a video the other day about how the subprime market is not going to be able to lend to the same amount of people. So therefore, dealerships are going to have a harder time selling cars, which brings down the value of the cars because they can't sell enough of them, and then supply is going to build up and then demand is going to shrink. So we talked a little bit about that last week. What I want to talk about right now is what's going on with the tech sector as far as like dealerships. Now, I don't know what it is. Everybody comes in every 5 to 10 years and they swear that they're going to reinnovate the automotive industry. They're so much smarter than all these car guys. Like everybody in the car business is a bunch of dum-dums, and that these tech guys are so much smarter. So what these guys do is they come in, they always use these BS algorithms to build their company. Now, Carvana was a good plan. They grew so big and so fast, that they realize that they're going to take up a big chunk of the market share before anybody else can. But the problem is they're having major growing pains. As a dealership, as you grow, you have to learn different things like the correct paperwork, the right information. I know a lot of the different laws that are just here in Nevada. So when you guys are always asking me questions about every state, like what about this, what about that, why don't you do one on paperwork? The reason I don't and the reason I can't is because every state is different. And so Carvana, for some reason, when they opened up, instead of finding somebody like myself and say, hey, you're an expert in your state, why don't we team up with you and you become our franchisee of Carvana? Imagine if they would have done that. They could have basically put one of these things in every single state overnight and have a qualified, which is a QE, qualified employee, be able to do the paperwork to keep them out of trouble. But Carvana was on a mission to be like, well, we're going to go so big, we're going to re-engineer the software, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and this is the way it is. Now they're getting, basically bit in the ass from all the legality problems that they're having. When I'm a dealer, if I sell you a car, there's certain things I have to do. It's state law. I don't care if you're a multi-billion-dollar company or you're a shady buy here, pay here lot sitting on the side of the highway. We both have to abide by the same rules in place. And Carvana feels like it's pushing it just a little bit further, with like e-signing. As an independent here in Vegas, I've paid attorneys, I've paid companies, and the DMV always told me you cannot do e-docs, you cannot e-sign. But for some reason, two companies can do e-docs, Carvana and Drive Time. Those are the two only here in Nevada that are allowed to do e-docs for some reason. Don't see why. I don't know, I'm not alleging anything, but maybe somebody has some sort of inside deal or whatever else. But that's the kind of things that you run into. And now they've gotten so big and blown up so quickly, instead of hiring, like I said, qualified employees to do what I do, they just basically do it themselves. And so now we're at a point where they're buying cars at crazy amounts. If you guys have been selling cars, we've even made jokes like we've actually gotten cars, put them in our names and turned around and sold them to Carvana for crazy money because of what they're paying, because they don't have buyers. They have like a 20-year-old kid sitting in front of a keyboard saying, yep, that's worth 20 grand, here's a check. Where somebody like myself, we're gonna pop the hood, we're gonna scan it, we're gonna check it out, we're gonna take it for a test drive. None of that. Some of the cars that we sold, we literally walked up, got a check, walked away. No one even looked at the car. It was insane. And that's starting to catch up with them. TrueCar put out that car values are dropping between 3 and 5% monthly. We keep talking about it, and all these people keep saying prices are not going down. I'm telling you, prices are going down. Look at every report, look online. If people in your market are overpaying, they're a bunch of dum-dums. But now all these people are going to be stuck with this overpriced inventory, which is Carvana, which is one of the biggest ones, is stuck with this inventory. They don't know what to do with it. And then on top of that, if they're having money issues like what they're talking about, where they can't keep buying cars, then they're stuck. A lot of tech companies, they always raise capital for future projections. So perfect example, for these Tesla fanboys, I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there. Tesla's worth X amount of dollars, but they see the growth over the next 5 to 10 years. So people buying in now are speculating that the market's going to go up, they're going to make even more money, and Tesla stock is just going to keep growing and growing. Well, Carvana did the same thing. They leveraged themselves out, said, hey, we need X amount of dollars. We're going to do the Jeff Bezos Amazon thing where we're going to run, lean and mean for about 5 years, take up the market, and then, hone our craft and get better, and then probably build a platform and grow from there. But as of right now, it's looking like they're almost out of funding. I personally don't know. I'm just allegedly things that I hear through the grapevine of different things going down. And what's happening now is if they don't have the money to keep growing, they're going to have to get competitive with dealers like myself. And that's something they don't want to do. They want to open up in markets where it's just cookie cutter, throw it out there, sell cars online, and not have to compete with franchise dealers or even major independents. And so now with that loss of capital, or if they don't have that big money-making machine, just turning money where they can just keep buying and selling cars like crazy, it's going to hurt them, I think, substantially. And especially with a lot of these lawsuits, guarantee you what's going to happen is, so out of these lawsuits, some of the banks are going to get dragged into them. And probably once one or two banks kick them off their platform, then they're probably going to go ahead and maybe start reworking something or change the way they lend or whatever else the case is. And that's going to have like major implications. But one thing I do want to talk about is we just talked earlier about, gathering data. Long story short, CarMax. If you guys know CarMax, big company, they're meant to compete with somebody like Carvana. What CarMax did for the first 10 years of business is they hired on all these banks. They're like, hey, who wants to buy our loans? We'll give you guys our loans, blah, blah, blah. So for 10 years, CarMax gathered data. They didn't want to put their own money up. They wanted to see which loans were performing, which loans were paying off, how much money these banks were making. And, the banks were sharing information with CarMax. They were gathering that data. After 10 years, CarMax realized, well, geez, these guys are making a boatload of money. So instead of sending all the tier 1 customers to Wells Fargo, Santander, Bank of America, we're just going to keep them for CarMax Auto Finance. And that's all they did. They just, I think it was in 2000, was it 16 or 17 when they came out with CarMax Auto Finance, and they just started crushing everybody. Any other bank that came in with like a ratio rate, like, oh, we're going to give this guy 12%. They'd be like, okay, we're going to give him 11.5. And they knew that you're going to take their rate and take their deal. And so they would be able to buy up all the good deals that they wanted to do to build their own portfolio. I believe that Carvana is going to do the same thing, because the true way to grow your business and the car business is literally if you become a bank. So once you become your own bank, you basically are self-sufficient. You can create as many sales as you want, you could sell as many cars as you want, and you could build your portfolio as fast or as slow as you want. Make it diverse: American cars, Japanese cars, trucks, SUVs, whatever the matrix basically spits out to you is what you do. And that's what these big companies are trying to do. They believe that all things live and die by analytics. We talked about it in the last commercial, last video, about how people put too much merit and too much emphasis on analytics. Now, don't get me wrong, analytics can help you target some things, but it is not everything. And that's the thing, is they're trying to bring analytics into every single business. They tried to bring it in professional sports. If you guys seen the Moneyball and Money Game, you've seen how that ended up. Didn't work out that well, and they keep doing it to the car business over and over again. There's been multiple companies going into this. Like, people don't know, but Amazon Autos was supposed to come out like 10 years ago. There's a reason why they didn't come out, is because it's a big headache. This business is insane. It's a lot of paperwork. It's based on a lot of skill. Finding people that are very skilled at buying cars, fixing cars, selling cars, marketing cars is very hard. And to get 5 or 6 of those people in every single dealership across the United States overnight is even more extremely hard. Plus, they cost a lot of money. So they're hoping that these algorithms that they're making on how to buy cars, how to sell cars, will put them in a better place. A few years ago, I've been trying. If anybody's a computer programmer, reach out to me. I've been trying to build a program or an algorithm where I can go to the auction. I can just basically teach it how I buy, what I look for, how I, depending on the CR report to MMR to market ratio report, what exactly I buy and how I buy it. Now, if I can do that and kind of get it somewhat in tuned, then I think it'd be a decent buying tool for somebody that's new to the business. But I still wouldn't live and die by an algorithm. I would want somebody, a real person, to put their hands on the car, to physically go look at it, to touch this car. Because if they're just buying online like what they're doing now, I mean, geez, in some of these reports, it's hilarious. They've bought in cars with like stolen titles, bad titles, misplaced VINs, stuff like that. Like, as a dealer, these are the things we check. And as an experienced dealer, I know what to look for. When there's these 20-year-old kids working at Carvana that don't know how to look at a fake title, they don't know how to read a bad VIN, they don't know how to do certain checks on auto titles as well as vehicles, you're gonna have these issues. You're gonna have these problems. No algorithm is gonna protect you from that. Now, I'm sure every day they get a little bit smarter and they add another process and an emphasis, but then it just becomes over-cumbersome and then they start slowing down. Their main thing is speed. We wanna get you in, look online, buy a car, ships to you. Now, I've heard a lot of stuff about Carvana, and like I said, some good, some bad, but as you can tell, like I said, there's some major things that are definitely pending. And when it comes to Vroom, I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard a single good thing. I've heard nothing but bad stuff. I have a friend of mine, Spencer Cornelia, shout out if you're watching. He bought a car from Vroom and had some issues. I think they made him wait almost 2 months to buy it. I just talked to one of my other friends. He's been trying to get paperwork to register his car for 4 months now. And they keep telling him that, you know, that the paperwork's on its way, just wait for it. And he's driving around with an expired tag, and he's worried that he's gonna get his car impounded, other issues. So this seems to be a common problem. You know, dealerships, we physically, as a dealer, I bring my titles into the DMV and I process them, and we keep track of that. I feel that these big companies just hire either third-party companies or they're hiring $10 an hour people to go into the DMV and they just blankly mail them in. Now, when it comes to this type of stuff, like I said, you gotta have somebody that knows what they're doing, or it's gonna bite you in the ass. So anyways, I don't wanna make this video too long. Like I said, all these things are alleged. They're currently going through court, so please do your own due diligence and do your own research and come up with the conclusion that you see as best as fit. But what I see right now scares me a little bit. So if you are a betting man, I would definitely short the stock. But like I said, I am not a trader either, so don't take my advice. I'm just an idiot on YouTube. So anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please, once again, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Definitely subscribe to us. And once again, follow us on Instagram at automotive.life. And we'll see you next video.